What would you do if your own family treated you like you didn't exist for years, only to suddenly need you the moment their perfect world started crumbling? Quinn Brooks was about to find out that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting everything. The email sat in Quinn's inbox like a loaded weapon. Annual Brooks Family Beach House Reunion. Save the date. Her sister Trinity's mass email might as well have been stamped with, "Everyone welcome except you." For 5 straight years, Quinn had received the same cheerful invitation, followed by the same apologetic phone call explaining why there just wasn't enough room this time. Limited space. Trinity's kids needed their bedrooms. Nelson's girlfriend required privacy. Always an excuse. Always the same message. You're not really part of this family. But Quinn wasn't that insecure middle child anymore. At 35, she'd just been promoted to senior vice president, the youngest in her company's 100-year history. While her family dismissed her career as pushing papers, she was orchestrating multi-million-dollar mergers that made headlines in the Wall Street Journal. Her mother, Iris, still introduced her as our Quinn. She works in an office somewhere. Quinn learned that her place was in the background, quiet and useful, but never central. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that like button and drop a comment about how you dealt with it. Trust me, this story gets so much better. 23 years of being overlooked had taught Quinn something valuable. Success speaks louder than words. And she was about to make a statement her family couldn't ignore. But that wasn't the whole story. What Quinn's family didn't know was that their beloved beach house, the crown jewel of Brooks family traditions, was drowning in debt. The property taxes had tripled over the past decade. Maintenance costs were astronomical. The recent economic downturn had crushed the local real estate market, and the house that once symbolized their family's prosperity was now a financial anchor dragging her parents underwater. Quinn knew this because, unlike her siblings, she actually paid attention to market trends and property records. It was all public information if you knew where to look. The phone call from her mother came right on schedule, exactly 1 hour after the reunion email. Iris Brooks had perfected the art of the apologetic dismissal. "Quinn, dear, about the reunion, you understand how it is. Trinity's children are at such an important age, and we need to prioritize their space and comfort." For once, Quinn didn't feel the familiar sting of rejection. Instead, she felt something cold and calculating settle in her chest. "Actually, Mom, I completely understand. Family priorities and all that." The confusion in her mother's silence was delicious. Usually, Quinn protested or showed hurt. This calm acceptance threw Iris off script. "Well, good then. I'm glad you're being reasonable about this." "Absolutely reasonable," Quinn agreed, glancing at the real estate listing pulled up on her second monitor. The beach house, listed at 40% below its peak value, with her parents as desperate sellers. "Hey, Mom, quick question. How's the maintenance going on the beach house? Must be expensive these days." The pause stretched too long. "We're managing fine. Why do you ask?" "Just curious." The Richardson merger isn't just about combining assets, she explained, her voice steady and authoritative. It's about redefining market presence and creating an industry standard that competitors will spend the next decade trying to match. Her projections were flawless. Her risk assessments were thorough. By the time she finished, even the notoriously difficult Mr. Richardson himself was nodding in approval. "You stake your reputation on these numbers?" he asked, his weathered face studying her carefully. "I stake my reputation and the future of both our companies on them," Quinn replied without hesitation. This was her element. This was where she belonged. The merger was approved unanimously, but the real prize came afterward, when Lance, her mentor, and the company's CEO pulled her aside. "Outstanding work. The Hong Kong position is yours if you want it. International Division Head. It's everything you've worked for." The timing was perfect, almost poetically so. The Hong Kong position required immediate relocation. The start date? The exact same week as the Brooks family beach house reunion. Quinn would be halfway around the world, launching the most important phase of her career, while her family gathered at a house that would no longer belong to them. Little did they know that Quinn had already set everything in motion. The real estate transaction processed faster than anyone expected. Within 3 weeks, Quinn held the keys to the beach house in her palm. The same beach house where she'd spent countless summers feeling like an outsider. The same property her parents had been desperately trying to sell to avoid foreclosure. The same location where her family planned to gather in just 2 months for their annual reunion. Her friend Savannah practically screamed when Quinn showed her the deed. "You bought it? You actually bought the family beach house?" "Investment property," Quinn said calmly, though her heart was racing. "The market's down right now, but that location will bounce back. It's just good business." "Good business, my foot!" Savannah laughed. "This is the most epic power move I've ever seen. What are you going to do? Show up at the reunion as the new owner?" Quinn smiled, a slow, satisfied expression that would have shocked her family. "Actually, I'll be in Hong Kong, but I'll make sure they know exactly who owns their precious tradition now." But the revenge was just beginning. Quinn's carefully laid plans had multiple layers, each more satisfying than the last. She didn't just buy the beach house. She hired a property management company to handle all communication. She had her lawyer draft a formal letter to her parents, thanking them for the smooth transaction and informing them that the property would be undergoing significant renovations starting in July, right before the planned reunion date. The first call came from her father, something that rarely happened. "Quinn, we need to talk about the beach house." "What about it?" She kept her voice professionally neutral, the same tone she used in board meetings. "You bought it? Why didn't you tell us you were interested? We could have worked something out within the family." The irony was so thick, Quinn almost laughed. "Within the family? That's interesting, Dad. I wasn't aware I was included in family decisions. Besides, it was a business transaction. The sellers accepted my offer. All very standard. But the reunion will need to be relocated, yes. The property manager mentioned something about that. Unfortunately, I'll be in Hong Kong for work, so I won't be able to accommodate any requests personally, but I'm sure Trinity can find another venue." While her siblings' mediocrity got celebrated, all of it crystallized in that moment of stunned silence. What if Quinn had just accepted her role as the family disappointment? What if she'd never pushed herself to succeed, never built her career, never positioned herself to make this move? The thought made her shudder. Instead, she'd turned every dismissal into motivation, every slight into determination. And now, she held all the cards. Trinity's email came next, less formal than their father's call, but dripping with barely concealed panic. "Quinn, we need to talk about this beach house situation. Mom is devastated. Can't we work something out? This house means everything to our family." Quinn read the email 3 times, each reading revealing new layers of audacity. The house meant everything to the family that had excluded her from it for 5 consecutive years. The family that had made her feel like an afterthought, a burden, someone to be managed rather than celebrated. Her response was brief and professional. "Trinity, I understand the house holds sentimental value. However, this is a business investment. The property will be unavailable for personal use during the renovation period. I'm sure you understand. After all, business is business." She hit send and felt a wave of satisfaction so intense it was almost dizzying. This was what justice felt like. Not petty, not cruel, just the natural consequence of years of treating someone as disposable. Before you think this is over, make sure you're subscribed because the fallout from Quinn's move gets even more intense. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss what happens when her family realizes they can't manipulate her anymore. The real turning point came when Quinn's mother showed up at her office unannounced. Iris Brooks had never visited Quinn's workplace in 10 years. She didn't know what floor Quinn worked on, didn't know her title, had never asked about her daily responsibilities. But there she was, sitting in the reception area of the executive floor, looking small and out of place among the marble and glass. "Mom," Quinn said, genuinely surprised. "What are you doing here?" Iris stood, and for the first time in Quinn's memory, her mother looked uncertain. "We need to talk about the house, Quinn. This has gone too far." They moved to Quinn's corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Iris looked around, taking in the expensive furniture, the awards on the walls, the evidence of a success she'd never acknowledged. "I didn't realize you had such a nice office." "Senior Vice President," Quinn said simply. "I was promoted 3 months ago. Youngest in company history." "You never told us. You never asked." The words hung in the air, simple and devastating. "Why are you really here, Mom?" Iris sat down heavily. "The beach house? Quinn, you can't do this. That house is our family legacy. Your father and I built our best memories there. Your grandparents made me feel welcome," Quinn interrupted. "Unlike everyone else, Grandma never forgot to include me. She never made excuses about why there wasn't room for me. She never treated my career like a hobby while celebrating Trinity's part-time job as groundbreaking. That's not fair, isn't it?" Quinn leaned back in her chair, the same power pose she used in negotiations. 5 years, Mom. 5 years of reunion invitations followed by apologies about limited space. Meanwhile, Nelson's girlfriend of 3 months got a room. Trinity's kids got priority. Even the neighbors' opinions mattered more than whether I was there. Iris's face crumpled slightly. "We thought you were too busy with work. You always seemed so focused on your career." "I was focused on my career because it was the only place I felt valued. Do you know what it's like to achieve something incredible and have your own mother introduce you as our Quinn? She works in an office somewhere. I closed a $50 million merger last year. I've been featured in 3 industry publications. I mentor young professionals and sit on 2 charity boards. And you thought I was too busy?" The silence stretched between them. Finally, Iris spoke, her voice small. "What do you want, Quinn? Do you want us to beg? Do you want an apology?" Quinn considered the question carefully. What did she want? Revenge had seemed so clear when she made the offer on the house. Justice had felt righteous when she accepted the Hong Kong position. But sitting here, watching her mother struggle with the consequences of years of neglect, Quinn realized what she really wanted. "I want to be seen," she said quietly. "I want my achievements to matter. I want to be included not as an afterthought, but as an equal member of this family." I want you to be proud of me the way you're proud of Trinity and Nelson, even though objectively, I've accomplished more than both of them combined." Iris wiped her eyes. "We are proud of you. Then show it. Not now, when I have something you want, but consistently, genuinely, the way you should have been doing for the past 23 years. What happened next shocked everyone, including Quinn herself. Her mother didn't argue or make excuses. Instead, Iris broke down completely, admitting what Quinn had suspected but never confirmed. The favoritism hadn't been intentional at first. Trinity was the firstborn, easy and social. Nelson was the only son, carrying the family name. Quinn was the middle child who never demanded attention, who seemed self-sufficient and independent. Over time, that independence had been mistaken for not needing family support. The pattern had calcified into something toxic, something Iris claimed she hadn't fully recognized until this moment. "I'm not selling the house back to you," Quinn said firmly, "and I'm not canceling the renovations. But I am willing to discuss a long-term arrangement where the family can use the property under specific conditions." "Conditions?" Iris looked up hopefully. "Equal treatment, genuine interest in my life and career. No more dismissive comments about my choices. No more comparing my success unfavorably to Trinity's or Nelson's mediocrity just because their paths look more traditional. And most importantly, acknowledgement. Public acknowledgement of what I've achieved and who I am." It wasn't a complete reconciliation. Years of damage couldn't be undone in one conversation. But it was a start, built on a foundation of consequences rather than empty promises. Quinn had forced her family to see her by becoming impossible to ignore. The Hong Kong position was everything Quinn had dreamed of and more. She relocated 6 weeks before the scheduled reunion, throwing herself into the challenge of building an international division from the ground up. The beach house renovations proceeded on schedule, transforming the dated property into a modern showpiece that would triple in value once the market recovered. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn that nobody saw coming. 3 months into her Hong Kong tenure, Quinn received an email from Trinity. Not a desperate plea about the beach house, but something different. A genuine apology. Pages long, detailed, acknowledging specific moments where Quinn had been excluded or diminished. Trinity admitted she'd been complicit in the family dynamics, enjoying her position as the favorite without questioning what it cost her sister. "I watched you buy our family's legacy out from under us," Trinity wrote. "And instead of being angry, I felt relieved. Relieved that you succeeded. Relieved that someone in this family actually built something real instead of just coasting on Dad's reputation and Mom's approval. I'm ashamed it took losing the beach house for me to see what we did to you." Nelson's message came next, shorter but equally sincere. He admitted that watching Quinn's career trajectory had made him realize his own ventures had been funded by family money and protected from real consequences. "You built everything yourself," he wrote. "No safety net, no family connections, just pure competence. That's terrifying and impressive." Shock came 6 months later when Quinn returned to the States for a business conference. Her parents invited her to dinner, just the 3 of them. At a restaurant she'd mentioned loving in a social media post they'd actually read. Over expensive wine and careful conversation, they presented her with something unexpected. A formal apology. Written, "We can't undo the past," her father said. "But we can do better going forward, if you'll let us." Quinn didn't forgive them immediately. Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. But she accepted their apology and agreed to family therapy, something she never thought she'd see her traditional parents consider. The beach house became a symbol of transformation rather than revenge. Quinn kept ownership, but created a family trust that allowed everyone access under the condition that they all participated in ongoing therapy sessions. The first reunion at the renovated beach house happened 18 months after Quinn's purchase. Everyone attended, including Quinn, who flew in from Hong Kong specifically for the event. The atmosphere was different, careful, genuine, with an undercurrent of earned respect rather than assumed hierarchy. Trinity's kids asked Quinn about Hong Kong with real curiosity. Nelson discussed his new business venture, this time funded by his own savings rather than family money, and actually asked for Quinn's professional advice. Her parents introduced her to neighbors as our daughter Quinn, the senior vice president who's building an international division in Hong Kong. It wasn't perfect. Old patterns occasionally resurfaced. But now, when someone slipped into dismissive behavior, others called it out. The family had learned a brutal lesson. Taking someone for granted has consequences, and sometimes those consequences reshape everything you thought was permanent. Quinn's story spread through her professional network, becoming a cautionary tale about family dynamics and a celebration of self-worth. She gave a TEDx talk about building success in the face of familial dismissal, which went viral and added another layer to her already impressive reputation. The talk's central message resonated with millions. Sometimes the people who should celebrate you the most are the ones who see you the least. Your job isn't to shrink yourself to fit their limited vision. Your job is to become so undeniably successful that they're forced to adjust their perspective. 3 years after buying the beach house, Quinn was named CEO of her company's entire Asia-Pacific division. She was 38, managing a multi-billion-dollar operation, and regularly featured in top women in business lists. Her family attended her celebratory dinner, and for the first time in her life, Quinn felt genuinely seen by them. Not because she'd forced them through revenge, but because her success had created a situation where they had to choose. Acknowledge her or lose her entirely. They chose acknowledgement. Not perfectly, not without ongoing work, but genuinely. The beach house became a place where the family gathered on equal terms, with Quinn's achievements celebrated as enthusiastically as anyone else's. The property that had once symbolized her exclusion became the foundation for rebuilt relationships based on mutual respect rather than hierarchy. If this story hit home for you, drop a comment about your own experience with family dynamics and success. Have you ever had to prove your worth to people who should have seen it all along? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories about justice, karma, and the satisfaction of watching consequences unfold exactly as they should. Quinn's journey wasn't just about revenge. It was about something deeper. The moment when you stop seeking approval from people who refuse to give it and start building a life so successful that their approval becomes irrelevant. The sweetest revenge isn't destruction. It's becoming so successful that the people who dismissed you have to acknowledge what they missed. It's watching them realize that you didn't need them after all. You just wanted them to see you. And when they finally do, you're already so far beyond their limited expectations that their belated recognition feels like a footnote rather than a victory. The beach house still stands, renovated and beautiful, hosting family gatherings where Quinn is finally, genuinely included. But the real victory isn't the property or the forced apologies. It's the fact that Quinn built an empire while they were busy excluding her from their kingdom. She didn't just get even, she got everything. And sometimes, that's the best revenge of all.